Greetings YouTube, welcome back to the channel. There has been a request for this video for quite some time. And by quite some time I mean at least, I don't know, maybe 8 weeks? Certainly 6 weeks, going all the way back to before and then especially after the July 4th weekend sales. Why? Well, let's take the early access bundles as an example. Kabam knows that the economy of the game has once again shifted. What do I mean by that? Well, it is easier for players, sometimes uncollected, but especially Cavalier and Thronebreaker, to get 5 and 6 star champions faster. That means for the same amount of money that we have paid for a long time for maybe even 4-star crystals, maybe that was from like 4 or 5 years ago, but certainly like 5-star basics, you have a decent chance to pull 5 and 6 stars. This is especially true on what continues to be the best $5 you can spend on a daily basis if you have access to the Cavalier Daily Special. You can see the 6-star drop rates, because there are no Nexus crystals involved, are 4.5%, the 5-star 24%. 24%! I remember when Crystal Opening Whale used to open 100 featured Grandmaster crystals and would be lucky to get 1 5-star per 100. So, that's pretty amazing, right? Pretty extraordinary to think that the game's basically saying about 1 every 4 Cavalier Daily Specials you should get a 5-star. Unheard of. But when you stop with the excitement, let's just say best case scenario you pull somebody really great and you do it all at once. Like July 4th had so many people suddenly pull some of the best 6-star champions that ever opened from crystals and some of the best 5-star champions that ever opened from crystals. So all of a sudden you're sitting on the best champions that you've had to rank up. And let's just even assume, for the sake of argument, and it's a big assumption when it comes to this game, that you're not in gold purgatory, not to be confused with the champion purgatory. Your gold stash is fine. Maybe it's not like mine. I wish I was the Oprah of gold and could just give every viewer like at least 100,000 gold. Obviously, I'd love to give 1 million gold out. Let's just say that's not the problem. Well, what I am hearing from people who don't want to grind the arena, and that remains, well, a lot of people, is the issue of ISO. Specifically, the ISO that I want to talk about today, the Tier 6 ISO. You see, this stuff is still so rare. It shouldn't be, right? Like, it makes logical sense if you duplicate a 6-star, you should get a higher amount of ISO in terms of what each ISO is worth than a 5-star. And yet that's not the case. When you duplicate a 5-star, you still get the same amount of ISO, or at least the same category of ISO as 6 stars. You still get Tier 5 ISO. For whatever reason, Kabam has put a real freeze on Tier 6 ISO. Now, we know what the reason is, of course. If they make ISO more plentiful, particularly without charging for it on special rip-off ISO days, then they're probably going to lose money, or at least that's what they think might happen. So, when we talk about Tier 6 ISO, I want to also point out with the Cavalier difficulty that, we see some ISO, and when you look at story mode and you talk about different aspects of ISO, like look at this. Quest completion rewards, right? 1 and 1. 1 and 4. This should be way more. Like, just logically, for how much it takes to take a 6-star up, even just to rank 2. This should be way more. We are still, in a way, with this game, as if we're running on the fact that 565s are the highest champions. Don't get me started on, even though they have updated it once in the past 3 years, how off the level up event is, where it makes way more sense to take 2 5-stars to rank 2 than it does to take 1 6-star to rank 2. And you think about the difference of like power and ability and gold and ISO and all that. There are just so many things that need to be updated for this to be a quality of life improvement, as Kabam likes to call it. And so the ISO issue remains a huge issue, and I do think the 2 biggest suggestions I would have immediately are to put more opportunities for ISO and Cavalier difficulty, because those rewards also should be buffed. This month's Cavalier difficulty Here's to looking at you, Spider-Man 2099. Sucks. Maybe I'm the only one who's struggling with it, but I've talked to some friends who hate it, and I'm not afraid to say it. Some chapters are easier than others with the right roster, right champs, right? But I'm not a fan of some of these new nodes, and on top of that, the rewards aren't incentivizing me any more than usual. So Cavalier Event Quest should provide more ISO. I think besides this, can I just point this out? I know it's kind of ironic, but if we're talking about a ISO dilemma, shouldn't the black ISO market have ISO opportunities? Doesn't that just kind of, make sense? But you scroll down and look at all that ISO you can't purchase in this. Not a single opportunity. And I'm saying this because I'm speaking up for players who, again, don't have time or the energy or the motivation to do arena. So this doesn't actually, this is not a video that really affects me because I open enough terrible premium crystals which help with ISO 3 stars, 4 stars, etc. But I do feel and understand why there are players who are frustrated. So we need more ISO opportunities and not for cash. If you're going to include the black ISO market, technically that's still for cash because you're spending $10 United States per month. But I also think they just misdesigned two things about 6 stars currently. The ISO you get from duping them, and then, most importantly, no 6-star max sig ability crystal. I am not saying this to say we need 7-star shards. 2 words, hell no. But we do need a better drop rate version of what you get from the max sig 5-star crystal. I think a better chance to get 6-star Immortal Iron Fist, who's not going to break the game anymore than, say, Unstoppable Colossus is now that he's in the game. It's basically just going to be an arena trophy champion. And then better opportunities for 5-star Awakening gems, which have come down in price and definitely gone up in supply. And even 6 stones, even though those have also gone up in terms of the supply. So I'm hoping that this isn't some here's Prof being critical again of the game, because I'm really talking in this video about a problem that so many players face that don't do the arena. And so I hope that I have touched on some of the most important issues that were brought up to me, but I also like to keep these videos under 10 minutes, and we're already at just about 8 minutes, and so I don't want to linger on. I'd rather the comment section be used for that, so you're not having to waste time watching more seconds of the video when I've covered the points I want to cover. So this is going to conclude this video, but let this be a discussion point to start a hopefully pretty important discussion in the comments below. I appreciate you sending me your feedback on different video ideas, including this one in the Marvel Casino of Champions. I take it very seriously, and when I can, I like to make a video to spark this debate.